Hello, Sam.
Hey Bob, how you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing fine, doing fine. How about yourself?
I've been harmed. I
Oh no.
truly, yeah, I read Harm and it's bad. Well, it's pretty bad. It's
Uh-oh. Sam doesn't like this one.
not really.
Um, harm is a peculiar spell.
That's a way to put it. Yeah,
What
peculiar is a word I think describes it aptly.
it's got we'll talk about this in depth more, but it's got this strange caveat that it will do a bunch of damage to a creature, but it won't kill it. It won't drop its hit points below one.
Yeah, it's like something feels like out of second edition. It's something they wrote whenever they were like, oh well, the spell is called Harm. It can just harm. It doesn't kill because they're clerics and they're holy and they
I
don't
mean,
do
if
that with
something
harm.
kills me, I've been harmed. I've still been
Yeah,
harmed.
the harm has been dealt still. That I mean, getting hit by a machine gun harms you. It also
Yeah.
kills you, but it harms you too. Like those things are, I
I'm
don't
just
know.
trying to figure out the logic. Why would I mean? Yeah, you brought up previous editions, but I mean, what are the instances where you'd want to harm something but not kill it? I mean,
Uh they're very few. They are few and far between, especially because fifth
I'm
edition as a system has sort of been built to cover this problem. So typically the DMs decide if something is gonna have death saves or not, if it's a monster. And whenever you drop them to zero, it knocks them unconscious and they make death saves if they are important. Which means if you did want to capture a big bad, that mechanic exists and it's built into the
yeah. I
system.
mean, so yeah, but I mean, all right. So yeah, you want to capture something alive. Maybe you want to interrogate it or something. You could kill it and revivify it. What level spell is revivify?
On that, the soul has so revivify is a third level spell. You're right. I believe the soul has to be willing for the body to return. So if you're like, killing shit, they might just decide, actually, I don't feel like talking to that person. But you know what you have then instead? Speak with dead. They have to answer your questions that way. If you're
Okay.
just going to interrogate them, a second level spell does the job better. Just saying. There's also like Force Cage at seventh level where you can just imprison them in an invulnerable box. There's Globe of Invulnerability or Sphere of Invulnerability. They can just stick around them and
what
it
level
captures them
spell
too.
is what are we talking about right here? What is
Force Cage is a seventh level spell. So we're one
no,
level
no, I'm
higher.
talking about
Oh,
harm.
Harm is sixth level.
Oh,
Sixth,
oh, really?
yeah.
Good
It's
golly.
it's sixth level for 14d6 damage at a 60-foot range to a single target. As a cleric, if your goal is to do damage to one thing, this is kind of the best you get. Disintegrate does 10d6 plus 40 damage, which almost doubles this thing's damage output. So that's pretty pathetic. But in like terms of this, Disintegrate's also a sixth level, just wizards get it. And as we know, wizards are the
Right,
best
right.
spells. So if you're a cleric and you need a point and click damage spell, something that you can just go take damage, this does it. It doesn't do it well. For Flame Strike, you do 96 for the same level and hit everything in an area. And that's
And you
probably
can
more
kill him.
damage. And the Flame Strike can kill them. If 86 damage will kill it, harm is worse than spell's lower level damage. If the goal is to kill the thing. And the goal usually when you're trying to do 14d6 damage to something is to kill it. The like outside of finding scenarios like when would I want it to be at one? Look at the situations when you don't want it to be at one. If you're against a big bad with teleport,
There's going to be a lot more of those. Yeah.
yeah, it going to 1 HP gives them a full extra round to kill you, teleport
Mhm.
away, prep counter spells, heal themselves, any suite of things. Yeah, it's baffling that it leaves it at one, and the damage just isn't good enough to justify it. If this did more damage than Disintegrate, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. This is supposed to be cleric single target damage thing, but it can't quite kill. So you're getting a lot of damage, but you're not able to kill things with it. You're getting a amount of damage, you're getting a mediocre amount of damage, an amount of damage that you're not super happy with, but it's not like the worst thing ever. For also the condition. So
All
yeah,
right.
that's not great.
Yeah, and we could talk about this all day, but that's not all harm does.
Technically, I mean, it
All
does
right.
have other text. Whether that text matters is a whole other conversation.
It might be all harm does, but that's not
That's
all the text
practically what
says it
whole harm
does.
does.
Yeah.
Yes. So it also negates or reduces maximum hit points. So the damage you're dealing, if they fail a Constitution saving throw, their hit point maximum is reduced by the 14/6 damage.
How often does that come into play?
It doesn't. This is something that as a DM you can use like once in a blue moon. This is something you like throw on your Lich. This is something you throw on your Draco Lich, your Demi Lich, whatever. Some undead monster that you want to challenge your player in a weird way. And in a larger scale dungeon where you're in like the highest CRs of gameplay, where you're fighting like CR 15, 16 things just on the way to the throne room. That's where the spell harm, like the text kind of matters, which, you know, that's less than 1% of people playing D&D are playing in that tier. So that never is realistically happening. And that's also at tables where like you're trying to challenge very specific elements in super high powered ways. It's nice that the tool exists for that. As a player, the vast majority of people that are using the spell are going to be players. That doesn't have text. Reducing a monster's max HP only for an hour means that if you're in a kind of situation where you're fighting like a long-term enemy, you're fighting something that is escaping, if you cannot track them down within that hour, the spell has no text. If you do track them down within the hour, they likely couldn't have healed. So it kind of like, what's the point of this then?
What about for like regenerating monsters, like a troll?
A cantrip firebolt deals with that problem. I mean, yes, you are right in the sense that there are monsters that regenerate. They are also very uncommon. So the instances where that is a poignant thing you'd want are few. It also doesn't help that a lot of regenerating monsters have kind of constitution saving throws. So like there's a chance that just doesn't happen. So if you are taking the spell for that effect, you spend a 6th level spell for a chance of it to occur. It still does damage. You're still never upset about it, but it's nothing I can get excited about. Mitigating healing in combat is it'll very rarely have a huge impact. When it does have a huge impact, it's notably important. Whenever something's regenerating 50 plus hit points around, turning that off is genuinely something powerful to do. That's just in so few instances that it's hard to justify. It's not
taking
hurting
up
the
a
spell.
6th level spot.
Yeah. But like instead you're casting Blade Barrier, and then you can like be yo-yoing people for tremendous amounts of damage and have a way seal your atmosphere. Again, Flame Strike hits areas, which are more likely going to be the kinds of effects you're going to want as a high level caster. If you're monk and your fighter and your ranger, they're really good at single target damage anyway. Paladin's really good at single target damage anyway. Your role often is going to fall to protecting and dealing with large amounts of things. That's kind of what casters do. So taking harm is sort of like, I guess I put this in my back pocket for those few niche scenarios where I really need it. It helps that you can prepare it. It helps that you're a prepared caster as cleric. So you can be like, all right, we know we're going into the troll overlord. I will take harm to make sure we can turn off its healing. Again, Fireball probably does that too. But in any case, this is something that it's nice to have on the text of the spell, but it so rarely matters that it's hard for me to justify talking about it this much.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's not a whole lot else to say about harm, huh?
Yeah, I mean, so it's fine. I don't want to say like you don't ever take harm, you're never going to get anything out of it, because you always do half damage, right? Like even if they fail, they're taking 76 damage. That isn't nothing. It is still, if you are in the situation where you need to be the high damage single target dealer, this is the best thing you got as a cleric. And some tables where you're not playing super powerful gaming, you're not, min-maxing characters with sharpshooters and with as many extra attacks and multi-class builds as you can, this will feel like a lot of damage. This will feel like a huge chunk. It just, as someone that, goes through and reads all of these spells in bulk and is aware of like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff around it that are way better than this. I have a hard time getting excited for it. You might find it really great on your cleric if this is something that you need and you are like, oh yeah, it's the most damage anyone on our table's doing. And other tables, this spell is lukewarm and kind of meh.
All right, so what's the Sam score?
I give it 2 out of 5. It's something I'm not happy to have on my character sheet. I'm never going to want to put it on my character sheet. It's probably never fitting in what I want to be doing as a cleric, but it's something that if you really need it, it's not the end of the world if you have to grab it.
Yeah. All right, everybody, that's harm.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's fine.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Yep, can't wait to talk to everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.